Hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is Dre Devots. I'm a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. Today, we're joined by my good friend, Mike Stratton, another systems engineer over here at Variphy. How you doing, Mike?
Good, Dre. How you doing?
Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. For today's webinar, we're going to be showing you guys some Webex calling reporting. First, we're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. We're going to jump into a live demo where Mike's going to show us some Webex calling reporting. We'll pause for some Q&A and get some of your questions answered. During the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right hand of the screen. After Q&A, we're going to reward one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see what if you've won. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration, providing industry-leading customizable Call Manager, UCCX Cube, and now Zoom reporting analytics and dashboards, along with a suite of tools like remote phone control, change management, macros, and DID management. But today, we're going to be focusing on that Webex calling reporting. If you have any other questions on any of our other features, or you have any interest in taking our Zoom analytics for a free spin, hit me up in the Q&A panel on the bottom right side, or reach out to your account manager for more info. One more thing before we kick things off. Variphy does a managed consulting service where Variphy SE team engages you with a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring. This is a service that provides you a dedicated Variphy SE to do all the heavy lifting, giving you completely hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us. We'll be glad to speak more in depth about our Ninja Enhanced services. All right, Mike, let's get into the wild on this Webex calling reporting. I'm going to go ahead and give you control.
All right, let me pick the right monitor and boom, here we go. Let me move this to the screen. All right, hello everyone. Today, we're just gonna start off and build some reports. I have like 5 reports ready to go. I'll just kind of start building them and kind of talk about how, some of the stuff that we're seeing with the data. And if we have enough time, I'll go through all of them. If we don't have enough time, we'll stop where we stop and leave some room for some Q&A. And then let's just get to it. So this system right here, let me get more WebEx out of the way. This system right here, this is running our upcoming 15.0 release. It has some basic sample data in there, and you'll notice that it looks just like the CUCM reporting. So if you have our software, if you've been running our CUCM reports, a lot of this should look very familiar. So first report I'll build, and we'll hover over here and get a report started. One of the reports that we anticipate seeing a lot of would be hunk group reports. We see a lot of it on the call manager side. I expect to see a lot of it on the Webex calling side. Hunk groups, call queues, and auto attendance. So building a report, just kind of navigate through to the different menus, report, and scroll down, jump down the search set. So when building the report, we'll just give it a quick name, and then we'll start with the search set. So for the search sets with Webex calling, we can when adding new criteria, we're going to go ahead and there is a criteria for hunt groups. So we're just going to search for hunt group, and we'll find and select called hunt group. So this will be this will filter. This will bring in all the calls based on the hunt groups that have been called. And so with this list, it comes pre-populated, so you don't have to guess or to type in a hunt group number or a name. We can pull the lists from the Webex API. So we're just going to pick a few. We'll do this one. Look for the executive office to Chicago. And we'll do one more. This one right here. So we'll start off with just the 4 different hunt groups. If we wanted to find a hunt group that was no longer active, I could turn on the toggle here, and then you would see any hunt group with a little flag next to its name. It would indicate that it was like a historical option or a historical hunt group, one that no longer exists. So the hunt group here, this report will be built around these 4 hunt groups, and then from here we'll go on to the grouping statistics. So I want to group, and before I do, I'm going to jump back here to basics. So the Webex calling data is a little bit different from the CUCM data. where one, we do get multiple calls if the call is transferred, but we can also get like additional calls, and so we can either report on the events, which are the individual call legs, or the sequence, which is the entire call, or all the legs that are part of the same call. For a lot of the reporting, I'm going to lean on the events and not go with the sequences because it keeps things simpler, and it's a more one-to-one reflection of what I'm filtering on. So um, going back to the grouping, we're going to turn on grouping, and then I'm going to group on the called hunt group. So I'm filtering on the hunt groups. I also want to group then on the hunt groups. I'm going to sort, change sorting, total call count, highest to lowest. I want to see what, the busiest hunt group at the top. And then from here, just kind of pick the stats, pick the stats I want to see. So for here, we're going to go with total call count's great. And then I'm going to include answered call count. So going back to the CUCM data, we with the hunt group reporting on the CUCM side of things, we see a lot of total call count use because with the hunt group reporting in Call Manager, total call count indicates number of calls that were answered. On Webex Calling, the data gives us records every time a call rings at an agent's phone. So if a call rings at 5 different agents, maybe it's broadcast, we're going to see a lot of records in the data, and so we can see moving with Webex Calling, now we can see how many calls were presented to the agents and how many calls were answered. So relying on total call count will usually give us how many calls were presented, depending upon how we filter the report, and then answered call counts um, would give us how many calls were answered by the agent. So average call duration, total call duration, or average call duration ring time works. We can toss in not connected call count, not connected call percentage. And I think we can start with those. I'm gonna go back to the search sets really quick. I'm actually going to add in one more value. So with going back to those sequences and how the calls are being presented, I also want to include called party user type. This way I can filter out the user values from the hunt group. So I only want to see this report is only going to be based upon at the hunt group level. I don't want to include the user-based calls in the report as well. I only want to see what's going on for these 4 entries here. So we're going to keep it as is. I'm filtering on the user type, which is hunt group. That way, removing all the agents. And then moving on, I mean, we can turn on additional features if I want to see, stats by hour. I can do so here, stats by date. Go ahead and just throw in answer call counts. And let's try not connected. Okay. Total answer. That's good. I think for here we'll leave off the search set statistics because we're getting the same values in the grouping for call history. I don't think we necessarily need to see the call detail, although you can always include it if you want to. From here, let's save it and then run the report to previous week. Boom. And there we go. So here is just a basic hunt group report. Here's the grouping that shows the 4 different hunt groups I've selected. Total calls, how many calls were answered, average duration, average ring time, total call duration, how many calls were not connected, and then what percent of calls, were not connected. Here's the hourly breakdowns. And then, we can also turn those into graphs or charts, and display the data in a couple different ways. So our first report. We'll move on to a second report. Second report. So from the first report was looking at the hunt group level. So we can take that data and then also take the hunt group data and then look at the different agents and see what type of call volume they're taking. So second report, we'll look at the agents instead. So let me let's do this. Go back to the events. Agent. Let's call it agent reports. Again, we're gonna filter on events. For our search sets, a little bit different. We're going to actually we're gonna do the kind of the same way. So we'll do called hunt group instead. It's the same thing. I'll pick the same hunt groups if I can remember which ones I picked. There's one more executive. So now I'm still bringing in the same for hunt groups, but now I want to look at the user data. So for here, we're going to change our called party user type from nothing to or from hunt group to user. So I'm only looking at the people, and then also I'm with looking at the user data, going back to those, we can see when calls are presented. So if you have 30 calls into a hunt group, an agent may, if they're a manager or someone who doesn't take a lot of calls, they may only take one or two calls. But their total call count will still show every single time a call was presented. So you may see 30 total calls and only two answered calls. That's because they're just not answering a lot of the calls when it rings. So in this case, I don't care about if you want to include the calls presented, you can. If you only want to see the calls that were answered, you can just change or include the duration criteria and just say equals. I want everything that's greater where the duration is greater than 0. So I want anything with the duration. It's answered. It was answered by the agent. So I want to see just the calls that were answered by the agent. Just double checking, make sure I have events selected, and then for the grouping, we'll turn it back on, and then we'll do. I always type in user, but it should be actually name. So I'm going to look at the called party name. This will be the agent. And secondary grouping, we're going to assume that they're all answering on the same number, so we'll leave it as is. And then sort it by, we can go alphabetically, but I'm going to go again, total call count, highest to lowest. And then from here, total call count won't matter. Really, what I'm looking at are the answered calls count. So answered call counts. Let's move that up. Then we can just keep the same ones here. Total average call duration, ring duration, I'm not too concerned with. Just want to see, how many calls they took. And then, for those calls, what was the average call duration and the total call duration. Search set stats, we can leave it on, leave it off. The search set stats will give you the total call counts amongst all of the hunt groups. We'll leave that one off for now. Cost for details, I think we'll leave this one on for now. We'll look at some of the values, when the call started, who called. Maybe I'm not so concerned with the name. I want to see just the calling party number. I want to see who called in. Client type we can take out. I do want to see the called hunt group name to see which hunt group the call came through. Toss at the top. Let's do duration. Our call duration is already in there. Call party name, client type. I think we're pretty good with this. So from here, just grouping and then the call history details. Search set user greater than. Everything's good. All right, let's go and save it. And let's run it. So if it says, there we go. So here, just a basic hunt group, agent report looking at how many calls each of the different agents received, or I should say received, I should say answered. So we have them grouped here. Bryce had 18 answered calls. His total average call duration and his total call duration. And if we scroll down, we'll see the rest of the agents here. And if we click on any of the agents, if I click on, let's do Bryce again. This will take us to Bryce's details, so we can see the calls that came through. We can see which hunt group the calls came from. The calling party number, the called party number. You can see Bryce, which app he used or which client he used to answer the calls, call duration, and then the direction of the call. So this is again a real basics kind of simple agent report. You can run with the hunt group reports to get a little more information on what's going on with the hunt groups. You can also add in time-based reporting or the charts that show busy hours or how many calls were answered in which day of the week and stuff like that. And so I mentioned earlier, we can see hunt groups and call queues. From looking at the data, the call queues are pretty much the same as the hunt groups. Like they look the same in the data. So instead of using hunt groups, if I'm using call queues, you can take this hunt group report and just basically copy it and just make it a call queue report with only a few simple changes. So if you go back under the search sets, we get rid of the hunt group stuff here and we get rid of the user type and change it to call center premium or call center standard, depending upon the call queue. And then we filter for on called queue. Now we can see, basically it's the same idea that the data is pretty much the same. So we can use the same, configurations and the same settings to basically pull, a call queue report instead of a hunt group report. So I can select all of these. I believe the finance queue is the only one with actual call data. So we'll go ahead and turn them all on. For grouping, we'll get rid of called hunt group and go to called queue or called queue name. And then from here, we can do the exact same report. It'll look exactly the same, or we can also throw in some call queue specific values like how many calls were queued, the call queue count, call queue percentage, average queue duration. I'm pretty sure though there's only a handful of call queues in the sample data, so I think all the calls came straight to agents and none of them were calls. So these might come up as zeros, but okay, we can throw in the call stats, or if we wanted to go with charts, we can change that out, go hour a day, total calls, answer calls, not connected calls. And then we can turn on details, turn them off if you want. Search stats. In this case, I'll leave them off. And I'm pretty sure that's it. So let's go ahead and, so we don't really have to create, a call queue report from scratch if we already have a hunt group report. Go ahead and run it. And there we go. So yeah, I included a bunch of queues, but only the finance queue has data. So we got the 11 calls, 11 were answered. None of the calls were queued, so I'm assuming that the calls came straight through. There was, every time that those one of those 11 calls came through, an agent was available. So none of them were actually queued. And then call durations, ring times, all that good stuff up there. And then we have some charts below, and that's just so the busy hours or number of calls per hour, total calls answered and not connected. All right. Move on to the next one. Making good time here. So we've done hunt groups, we've done call queues. We're gonna do one based on users. So we see a lot of, and even going into call history, which is still available for those of you who've used our software in the past, where we can look up, like we see a lot of if you're not building a report, we see customers who wants to just, hey, I have a caller ID. I want to see who they called, or I want to see an extension. I just want to see some call activity for whatever I'm looking up at data at a glance. So we can also build you can do the same thing in call history, where you bring it into save as a report or just export it right away. Um, the thing with the data though, is that I'm the way that I'm running reports when I'm playing with the data, I'm not really focusing on the extensions as much as I did with call manager data. Or like with call manager data, I see a lot of our users are building reports around the device description from call manager. We're not seeing a lot of that anymore, or I'm not doing a lot of that anymore. The device description is not available in Webex Calling, but like I'm doing a lot of just agent lookups and where I want to look for the agent specifically. So going back to the reports, we can look up run reports definitely by extension or by phone number. But I see a lot. I feel like we're going to see a lot more just reports by agent name or by employee name or username. So we'll just do user reports. Go back to the events. And then for here, under the search sets, we will create a new search set for calling or called party user. Here we go. So this will look on both sides of the call for either who placed the call or who received the call. And then we can look up the user by their email address. So I'll just go ahead and pick a few from the list. Just grab a couple. You can pick one, you can pick many. And you can also grab, historical options if you want to see people who are no longer with the organization. And then we can take it and build, build grouping. We can build search sets. But this will look a lot like, kind of like a lot like the agent report. If I just want to see, call stats. But for grouping, do the same thing. I always do user. It should be name. calling our call party name. If we want to do a secondary grouping, we can group on, the extension that they either place or receive the call from, or their client types. If you want to see, maybe like which application or what client or what they're using to place or receive calls, we can include that in the report. We'll display, I'll go for last name, first name. We'll sort by alphabetically and just pull in some stats. So, we can do total call counts. We can do answered call counts. Average durations, we can do voicemail call counts too, so we can see if a call goes to voicemail. Just toss in voicemail call percentage, and I mean we can even toss in some forwarded calls, transfer calls. There's a lot of different transfer call scenarios that we can see. Let's just try and throw some transfer to home group and see if we have anything. Yeah, and we can throw in the call history details if we want that turned on. And save it and run it. All right, user report. Here we go. So here's my basic search criteria summary. There's 57 calls between all these different users, average durations, total durations. What I really want to see here are the grouping. So I have the grouping here. I'm looking at both sides of the call, and I could have really turned on. I probably should have. I'm going to do that right now. The originating and terminating, so we can see how many calls they placed or received. So let me turn that on. So originating call count, terminating call count. I mean, we can leave answered in there, but I'm going to take that out for now and just say I want to see inbound, outbound call counts. So let's rerun that report. All right, make it a little bit bigger. So here's again, same search sets, and I'm looking at originating or terminating call counts, so I can see how many calls they placed, how many they received. I can see what device they used to place or receive the calls. It's just, basic stats, durations, averages, all that good stuff. Calls to voicemail. Here we can see Arthur has a couple calls with the voicemail, and then we can also see the detail that's grouped by each user as well. Some good detail right here. So we can see all the calls placed or received by Arthur here. Okay. And then also looking at users, this report here by Victor, I'll kind of rebuild it here. When looking at users, we can also report on managers. So if we have, if we have certain managers accessing the system, and we want to see just, it's a quick way to search based on how the managers are configured within Webex. We can take the same user-based report, and instead of filtering on, actually, let me make a copy. Manager report. Instead of identifying users by their email address, we can also filter by manager. So we can do calling or call party manager. You can look inbound or outbound as well. We'll go ahead and add the manager and just select a couple of different managers in the list. And now for grouping, I mean, we can still filter based upon the user. So we are based upon the user or the call party. So in that case, if you want to see the employees based upon the manager, or we can also filter by manager as well. Or group, I should say filter, I should say group by manager. And then we can do secondary grouping, grouping on the name of the person. So it's almost like you're grouping on like the department, but instead of department, we're just grabbing the manager. And then we can keep the same stats, we can change them. It's entirely up to you. And my report is right here. Same data. All right, so same idea with the report, just an entirely different way to identify the users you want to bring in. So here we're looking by managers, and now we're grouping by the manager, and then they're like their team or their employees. So we can see Aiden here has Ramon, Sadie, Sarah, Ryan, and Luke under them. So we can see their total call count by the manager and then how it's broken up by the different users. And then, detail underneath it. And then, we can add in, again, time-based reporting or, charts as well if they want to. So I'll pause here. I think that's a lot of reporting, a lot of talking. Dre, I'll click it back to you for any Q&A.
Sure. We do have a couple questions out there. First one is, can you see what devices calls are being answered or placed from?
Devices, devices, devices. Let me pull up I'll show you what we have in the way of device. So as far as the device, we really only get we do get the MAC address. So we do get the MAC address in the data. So I can show you what that. I mean, I think we all know what a MAC address looks like, but yeah, we can't get the MAC address. That answers
Okay.
your question.
I think that helps a little bit. What about that client type? Is that anything associated with a device? I mean, or is it just
Yeah,
a type of client?
let me pull up some data. We can play with that
Yeah.
a little bit. So let me add MAC address. And the client type's already in there, I think. No, I don't have that in there. We also get client version too. Client type, client type. So MAC address, we get the MAC, we can see the MAC address to see you can link it back to a person or to the device. Client type is we have a couple different client types. It just tells you like what application or what software was used to answer the call. So whether it was the Webex app, whether it was like a desk phone device, or it was an actual like device, like an actual phone or something else. SIP just means gateway, I believe. So we can see what app, whether they used like a physical phone or like a soft phone to answer the call.
Great. All right. Other question is, if someone leaves a company, can we still report their user activity? Yeah,
Yeah,
we definitely can.
short answer is yes. So yeah, user when filtering on a user, as long as the data is there, just turn on historical options, and then you'll see if anyone's been inactive. You'll see like a little black flag next to their name, and that just indicates that they're expired or no longer there. But yeah, as long as the data's there, and as long as we have the data here, we'll be able to report on them.
Great. All right, couple more questions here. We use device pools in our call manager, and now that we use WebEx, we use locations. Can we report locations from WebEx?
Certainly, that was one I did not touch on, but we do get called or call party location. So yes, we can. So I've seen some systems that they have all their phone all their users set to the same location. I've seen some where they have a lot of great location information in there too. I don't think I have it here, but yeah. Short answer, yes. Yeah, we can include location in the reports. You can group by location, you can filter by location, or just include your location in the detail as well.
That's fantastic. All right. A couple more here still coming in. When will 15.0 be GA?
Friday, assuming there aren't any surprises, Friday. I want to say Friday afternoon is my official decision. But yeah, Friday.
Can you run reports on call pickup groups?
Call pickup groups. I think um call pickup groups. I'm gonna say I don't know. I'll have to look into that one and see if we can do it. I'm sure if it's in the data, we can do it. It's just a matter of what number or how it looks in the data. Yeah, I'll look into that one and
Okay.
confirm it.
Yeah, no worries.
Did you write down who asked that question if you need? I'll get back to them.
Yep, I'll do that right now. And also from the same person, we might not know this answer right off, but we might be able to give it to him. Same, you might want to give us him this information once we get it. Are we thinking about having as-built reporting for WebEx? It'll be useful if we could pull location, workspace, device details, and custom reports.
I'm all for it, but yeah, we can pass it to the engineering group and see what they say.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, we'll get back to you on that one once we get some answers on that so we can give you some information there. All right, I think that's it, and that's right on time too, 1:30.
Perfect. I'll stop sharing and give control back to you.
All right, I should have it. Hopefully everybody sees my screen. Maybe not.
Not yet.
Try this again.
There we go.
There we go. Awesome job, Mike. A lot of information there in that Webex calling reporting. All right, now it's time to give away our gift card winner this week. And our winner this week is going to be Scott Ritchie. Congratulations. Your account manager will be reaching out to you shortly to get you that gift card out. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to join us next week when Matt and Brian show us some Zoom reporting and dashboards. Thank you again for taking the time with us today. Have a great rest of your week. Take care.